Right, hello everyone. Been a few weeks since I've done anything for you, simply because I've been so busy, loads of fishing, um, and then we've had the heat and work in the heat. I lay tarmac for a living, the hottest job in the world in the summer anyway, with that heat. I've just been exhausted in all honesty, especially after like 2 weeks ago I had a week of fishing, week of matches, and last week I've just been wiped out. I wanted to report on it a bit sooner, but I'm gonna just do a video. You will have to bear with me. There's a lot of matches to go through. I hope it doesn't become a bit tedious. There's lots to learn from all of them though. Um, so I'm gonna get a video done on that, so we're all up to date, and then we'll get back to the tips and that's video. I'm going to start on some prep tonight because my box is a mess at the moment after everything that's been done. Just tidy everything up, and I will get one done during the week. I know I was coaching on Sunday, and the guy found it really interesting. I meant to John, I'll give him a quick mention. I know he watches the videos. Um, he found it really interesting going through my box, little things that I don't think of, but he found them really interesting. So I will get that done next for you. I know we said about doing it ages ago, so there will be a video on like the prep and what I carry in the week. But let me just get my box topped up. I don't want to do it with a messy half full box because there's a lot of rigs that need retying and stuff. Right, so we'll get straight into the fishing. I'm trying to think when I last spoke to you 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think we'll start. It's a match. I've said I know people had messaged me when I first started the channel about getting in the right frame of mind for things. You'll know from the matches, the reports I've done, hasn't been the greatest of years for me, I'll be honest. And we'll start at Floatfish. I had the festival coming up, so wanted to get in there a little bit. I hadn't really been this year. Fishing that open on 2 islands. I did it straight from a night shift. It was the last of all these nights that have carried on for ages. Really messed my schedule up, in all honesty. Um, and this is the one that sort of, even though it wasn't a good match for me, in all honesty, it's the one that made me sort of think, right, sort your head out here. And since then, it's been really good, in all honesty. It was, I said, it's just one match. I thought it would be a win, a good match somewhere, and it's actually been the opposite. It's been a not so good match, but it's really turned things around. So we were at 2 islands. I drew peg 30, just down the far bit. It's along the island, one of the one near the bottom. Just set up my usual pellets for short. Top 5 in sort of 6 foot, because it slopes away very deep, as you'll remember me saying. Set up a light heavy rig there. None of this messing around. At 4x18, 020, 018. Started with a band on it for fishing an 8mm pellet and feeding some 6s. 18 to 26, all proper gear. Set up 3 shallow rigs with the DS carp slaps, one a foot deep with 3 foot of line, the 0.1, 0.2 with my little Olivet rig for 2 foot deep, a couple of foot above it, and then a 0.3 bulk and a dropper for fishing 4 foot deep, because it's deep water, you do catch on that deep shallow. Set the waggler, bomb, feeder, bit of everything like you always do there on the edge, but it was really hot and calm and didn't think it would be very good down the edge. Still fed it all day. Never had a bite down there, so I won't go into that. Started short. It's not been, you've been waiting for bites, but I have had 4 or 5 carp there. Not massive, like up to sort of £6, good start. Gone shallow, and the shallow wasn't good. I had 2 or 3, but it was so hot and still they didn't want to know. And then it's just been the bomb never went. I've never not caught on the bomb there, but this is what's happened since then. It's just been rubbish. We've been so hot. There's a few fish in the deeper water, but there haven't been. Waggler was no good. Just fished very hard, in all honesty. There were fish on the feeder. It wasn't great. It was so shallow there. Um, um, and then I've caught a few on me. I did try mid-match fitting some casters, and that wasn't right on the shallow line. Did catch 2 or 3 and a couple of big bream, but didn't feel right. It's never worked at Floatfish for me before. But I wanted to give it a try. Wasted a lot of time messing around. And I ended up 4th in the match. £110, £140 on it. Rob Goodson next door to me. He's just fished a feeder all day, or the bomb. He's had some bigger pellets than me. I couldn't quite reach the island with 8 mils, and he's had some big 8 mils, different pellets. And he's just pinged over that, and he's literally done it all match. Had £140, so well done to him. Should have just got my head down and fished a feeder a lot more, but was prattling around trying to fifth things up. Come away just thinking, why haven't I done that more? And that was, like I say, sort of turning point for me. Got my head back in gear. The nights were finished. I have done a few nights since, but my main thing where I didn't know where I was from day to day. So yeah, I did pick up some money, but could have won the match, I think. But learnt a bit about it, ready for the festival, because I hadn't been on there. But it was nice, enjoyed it. Next match was the following day, was the 3rd round of the commercial champs. As you know, first round was terrible. That was my dropper gone already. Really happy with the second. The second round at Larford, again, shouldn't have done it from a bad draw. Went into the 3rd round, was at Packington Summers. Now, they decided this year, because you use big gearys, little gearys and moans, and they're so different than the gear you need for them, they drew what lake you were on the Thursday night prior to the Sunday. And it became no surprise I really wanted to draw little gearys. I've won the round off it the last 2 years the event's been going. We obviously missed a year because of COVID last year. And they went through Molan's first. My name wasn't out. Big gearys, and they got right near the end of big gearys, and they drew my name out. And Wayne, who organises it, had to have a little chuckle to himself, because he knew he would know I wanted little gearys. And so I fished the lake twice, won 2 rounds of the commercial champs. It's just a perfect venue for me, that lake. Catching big F1s, really clever fish, shallow. It's a lot of working out, but love it. Probably my favourite lake in the country, in all honesty, going on what I've done on there before. But yeah, drew big gearys, and then on the day I drew, I think it was peg 12 or 13, I can't remember. It's a massive shallow lake, big gearys, big carp, skimmers. I've only fished it once before in this event. I drew the peg next door, which was actually terrible. It's in a bay and it's not in anymore. And there's some poles about 70-80 metres. It's a good chuck. There were lots of fish moving around out there, but everyone said it's been fishing terrible. My section, there was one more. Pete Caton was round for me. And then the others went that way up to M peg, which was peg 7. Because it narrows up a bit, they'd left a lot, so he had a lot of room. That was definite favourite to win the section. It's been a really hard day. I started slapping, didn't have a bite. Gone on the feeder out, not caught anything, and I should have sat on it a little bit, in all honesty. Just no signs anywhere, nothing on the whack. Shut the waggler for an hour. Had 2 where it's gone under, but nothing on the end. Despite fish moving around. I fished meat at 11 metres to catch skimmers. I did really well with that on there before. That was rubbish. I finally caught my first fish after about 2 hours, a little F1 on it. A couple of tiny little skimmers, that was rubbish. Just prattled around with a bit of everything, but there was just nothing being caught in our section. Barring the MPEG, it had an odd fish, I think, from what I could make out. And in the end, I've sat on the feeder, and it has gone round twice. I should have just spent most of the first 4 hours on it, in all honesty. But it's normally good on the bomb and the waggler and slapping on the pole, so but I should have just sat out and fished a patient match. Caught 2, both good fish. And then I piled it in down the edge, casters and ground bait. Really, like, put 10 cups in, just trying to force something to happen with an hour and a half to go. And the last hour I've had 4 down there, 2 pretty quickly after I've gone on it, and 1 was like £18, great big thing. And then no more bites, but I've just sat on it. I topped it up a couple of times, and it's gone with 5 minutes to go, and I've had a 10-pounder. Got it out with a minute left of the match, and I thought, no time for one more. But I've gone in, and it's gone just before the whistle, and I've had another one. Ended up with 6 carp, a couple of little skimmers, and the F1, which went £50. The M Peg has had 9 carp, I think. He's had £60. A lot of them were smaller carp than mine, but well done to him there. If I'd have sat on the feeder, maybe, but then again, I've had 2 bites on it in the 2 hours I've been on it, so don't know with that one. But the rest of the section, all around me and everywhere, no one's had more than 2 carp in the rest of the section, so got to take it as a good result, really. Leaves me with 2 seconds after me dropping the first round. Like 8 points normally gets you in with 2 rounds to go. I think 7 this year. There's a few more people that have got a good score early on, but we're going into Barston and Meadowlands, which are the ones that sort of trip people up. So who knows, 8 points, but 2 section wins now. I've got a fish for 2 section wins, 6 points. I think I'd get in the frame. So it's not a disaster by any means. And like I say, I've done well considering what's been caught around me. Some good anglers as well. So as always in that competition. From there, where have I been? I've fished Float Fish 3 more times. I fished the Monday Open on 2 Islands. No, I fished the next Saturday, sorry, I fished another Open on 2 Islands and I drew peg 7, which had been absolutely awful. There's no island or anything to chuck to. It's in the deep water, but I really fancied it. I like it, that area. Good pegs for shallow fishing in the Waggler. Just hoped it wasn't going to be a shallow day because it would have been no good at all. Started short. I only had 1 little stocky this time, and I just knew it was another hot day. I just knew fishing shallow. There's a nice little ripple. Got out on the pole. The first hour has been brilliant. On the 2-foot rig, there were times when I had to come up to a foot. Probably had £50. I caught some big fish, maybe a little bit more than that the first hour. Carried on catching for another half hour, and then it's gone flat calm and they've disappeared. As they do there, you need a ripple for shallow on there, even though it's so deep, and you're fishing 13, 14 metres, but you need a ripple. So then I've just gone on the Waggler, and it was good. It wasn't great, but you just kept nicking an odd one. Just kept me ticking over. It was fishing hard in all honesty, so I was doing really well. And then whenever a little bit of ripple come, I could go back on the pole and I'd catch 2 or 3. And that's been the match. Last hour wasn't great. They obviously came in to feed a little bit more. I had 2 or 3 on the meat line, fed an edge, and they just weren't coming in, and I've changed things around. Didn't fish the right bait there, I didn't think. I fished casters and ground bait and fished worms over, and it was just rubbish. I've changed it to meat with 20 minutes to go, and I've caught 2, so I thought, right, meat is the way to go. Come the way, and I had £170, £130 second, I think. So nice win. Really happy with that. I don't think I fished the day after I did something with the wife. Went again on the Monday to Float Fish because I was on. No, sorry, I didn't. I went again on the following Saturday on Wagtail this time. Drew peg 18, not a bad area. Just fished hard pellets short again, and I've had £40 on it the first hour. Lots of stockies and 3 or 4 bigger ones. Good start. Couldn't catch shallow. It was again really hot. So I've just fished a waggler right out towards the middle as far as I could chuck, sort of thing. And I've just done that most of the day, not caught anything in the edge. Had a couple of little ones short on meat late on. Just fished a waggler for 4 hours. Really, really enjoyable. I love waggler fishing. And I've weighed 150 pounds per second. There was a 170 on peg 23 that looks down the lake. He had a little bit of ripple and he's just got slapping on the pole. It has been the form peg a lot the last few weeks. For that reason, you're in deep water because it dives away so quick there, because you're in the middle of the lake looking down the lake. And you just catch some slapping, so it just sit there and catches the wind a bit because it's open behind it, and just does that bit of ripple when the rest of the lake doesn't at times. So yeah, second, that was good. Then I went again on the Monday. This was now my week off. I didn't fish anywhere on the Sunday, I don't think. No, sorry, I did. I went to Meadowlands for the Golden Reel, and I've got the next round of commercial champs there. That's actually this Sunday. Just wanted to go for a look. All the talk was you needed peg 1 or the early numbers, and I drew 22. There'd been a big match there the day before, and fellow Matrix consultant Aid Mansfield had drawn my peg. Don't think he actually caught a carp. It was just terrible there. It's really deep. It's in the deeps, as they call it. It's about 16, 17 foot deep there. And I spoke to a few people and they just said, you'll be fishing for skimmers with me. So I did that. I thought I'd catch, there were a few moving about. So it looked as though it'd be alright, and I fished. Slapped for a little bit on the pole, not feeding. Had one indication, which I think was a skimmer. Fished a waggler for an hour, had 1 or 2 indications, again I think were skimmers. Clearly wasn't going to go, put the bomb underneath it, no bites. So I've just fished meat short, rest of the match really. Did try shallow on the pole a few times, but wasn't no good, 1 skimmer on it. Just caught another skimmer, learnt a few things with feeding and how to get through to the better skimmers. And then I've caught 2 carp down the edge on arm, just tapping in, well, big cup in, over 6 mils and fishing an 8 mil banded hard pellet on there to get through the skimmers. So 2 for £20 down there, and £30 of skimmers, £50, £60 on the section. On the end, on sort of the point, he's caught 2 on the waggler, first 4 hours, and then he's had 4 down the edge last hour. So did feel like I'd learnt a bit. Was never in the running there, but like I say, I'd learnt a bit, which was the main reason for going. Following day, this was now my week of fishing. I went back to float fish, drew 23, not just average draw. Again, caught a load. It was boiling hot. This was that boiling hot week then. Started short and didn't think I'd catch with it being so hot and still. Our end was really still. There was a bit of ripple in the middle of the lake. But I've actually caught on it for an hour. Lots of stockies and then an odd big one thrown in. Had about £50 on it. Good start again. Changed to feeding meat there. Fresh meat in the edge. Never had a bite in the edge again. Again, when it's flat calm, it's not right. And it's just been a fish shell on the pole. I've caught an odd one. There's the guy on 24. He was catching regularly on the pole. I couldn't catch on it. Just that slight bit of ripple there again makes all the difference. So I fished a waggler for a bit. I've had half a dozen on that, but again, I did it 3/4 over to the island. There was lots of fish swirling it, but you just didn't hardly get a bite. They just sat there. It's really annoying because you go to reel your waggler in because you're constantly casting in. You'd often prick one as you reeled back, but they just didn't want to feed. And then I've got a ripple halfway through, and I've had like an hour and a half. Stopped feeding the waggler, I went back on the pole, and I've had a really couldn't get in quick enough for 2 hours. They were obviously there all along, just that ripple, and then it's died the last hour, and I've really struggled again. and weighed 217 pound. Next door had caught steady all day, had 220. So not a million miles off the pace. I was really happy with that. Again, another good pickup. The following day was the golden reel at Decoy, which hadn't been fishing great. The talk was that you'd want elm or Six Islands. It was oak, elm, cedar, and Six Islands. Everyone said elm or Six Islands from out had been fishing. I hadn't been for a while. And they said cedar was definitely the worst one, and I've drawn peg 5 on cedar. Really good company along our section. Winnie next door, who always does well at Decoy. Yeah, good anglers all around the lake. And it was just awful, like really awful. It took me an hour for a bite. Of this big tree comes out in the water, and it was the same depth as like 6 meters, and I fished casters on both. Tried slapping a pet line. I just couldn't get a bite. Eventually, after an hour and a half, caught a little pound scratty that left one down by the tree shallow, and that was it. I just couldn't get a bite. Winnie would never had a bite for 2.5 hours. No one was catching anything. Just completely shut off. Loads of fish darting about. He slapped about, not even feeding, didn't get a bite. Like long on the pole with pellets. In the end, I've just got a load of worm mix like I talked about in the worm video. Started dumping that in at 6 meters. I've really hoofed casters in, like handfuls of casters down by the tree, and I've just fished a double worm on there, swap between the two. And eventually it did get going, like the 6 metre line started fizzing, started to catch an odd good carp, an odd F1, a couple of big 6 or 7 pound barbel. And then the last hour I've caught a few on the same rig, same bait, just swinging between the two, down by the tree under my casters, and I've weighed 120 pound. Winnie was set. I won the lake easily. I was only one fish off of framing in the end. I was never going to catch the 220 pound that won it off Six Islands. The two other strips, 180 pound, won it. But then there was a 127, and I had 122. I think it was, let's say, one fish out of the frame. But won the lake easy. Winnie was second. He caught some down the edge last couple of hours. He had 90 pound. So won the lake convincingly. Then it was 60 pounds next. It was just the wrong lake to draw. But again, really happy with our fish. Really dominated. Felt like I dominated the lake. Nice day. The following day, the Wednesday, was hayfield for Fisho. They do the draw the night before. And I drew right in the corner, not a good corner either. Boarding that day when everyone said it was going to be fishing long and the waggler. I had so much kit to get ready for the festival at Floatfish, which started on the Thursday. I didn't go. I don't like doing that. And I'll be glad when it goes back to you go and you draw your peg, so you're there. I don't like doing it at all. But it was just a waste of a day. I knew it was a long, like 2 hours drive each way for me. Spending a lot of money on fuel and that I didn't need to spend to potentially, all I was fishing for was to win my section back. And that was going to be a hard push because it wasn't very good. So I just didn't go. I'm glad I didn't, because I was still up till 11 o'clock the next day doing prep. I got all my wife was fishing it as well. She'd been doing really well. She'd fished some of the opens with me. She'd been catching loads, close to framing a couple of times. So she was looking forward to it, but I had all her prep to do because she was working. And then we move on to the festival. Really, I love the festivals at Floatfish. We have Russ Grimes stop at ours. We had a barbecue on the first night. We have several friends come back that are fishing it. It's just a really social event. There's obviously a lot of money involved. It's a brilliant festival. Excuse me. And then, so yeah, first day, you have your rotations, but they do it really well actually. They draw you out on the Monday before the rotations you're in, but you don't all stay together. There's the 3 lakes in 2 islands, Wagtail, Phoenix. Phoenix had been fishing really well. Tried to get on there for an open, and the 1 week I could go on there, we were on Wagtail in the end because there was a club match on there. So that had all changed on there. Big weights now. They've put more fish in, like all the lakes, and they're now catching shallow and in the edges and stuff that you didn't really do on there. So I hadn't had a practice on there, but I was happy with the other 2. And they do the draw. You go on your lakes, but then the second day, half go one way from that lake, half go the other. So you're not against the same 18 people every day, which is good. It's a brilliant way of doing it. Did have some good anglers in my sort of 9 that I was going to be with every day. Tom Edwards, who I could never get away from, as you know, cost me a couple of festivals last year. Which was great. It was Martin Freeman I had with me, who'd been winning loads there. Was definitely one of the festival favourites, as we were all calling him, winding him up on Facebook. But he had been doing really well, been going 2 or 3 times a week, framing regularly. And typically we all drew the same section, 6-peg section the first day. I drew on Phoenix and I drew peg 20. Martin was next to me on 22. To be honest, we moaned like hell, the 2 of us. The wind was coming up our end, but our section was pegs 12, 14, 16, 18, me on 20 and then 22. Now, the wind was coming up this end. 18 they're all the corners. They're all the 4 pegs that have got long edges in the corner. Because they have to leave some gap because you chuck over each other to the island if not. We just thought Tom Edwards drew 14, which broke the venue record a couple of weeks before. Looked perfect for it with 290 pound. Been massive weights all round that lake, even though they're only like anything from under a pound to £5. Most of them 5 pounds of massive fish in there, like 2 to 4 pound. We just thought we were fishing for at least second at best. Not very happy, not what you wanted at the start of a festival. And rig wise, I've set up, I hadn't been on there, I set the usual 3 shallow rigs that I've been setting on the others because it's still quite deep. Only difference is just scaled down to like 0.16 bottom, MXC3 instead of a 4, just a bit lighter hook. And I fish short kits on there with 14 to 16 slicking on all my rigs because they're not so big fish. And I've set up a deck rig for hard pellets in the deep water, like in 8 foot. I've set up a rig for fishing big potting for worms and stuff. That was good on there last year. Now I've set up a heavy rig for fishing a top 5 in sort of 5 foot of water, for starting with micros and expanders. It's always been good for me on there. And then a carbon like 414 for fishing meat, just 6mm meat because they're quite small fish. I did set up a rig for the edge as well, but unless you're on them corners, the edge isn't very good. And I'm just going to fish riddled ground bait, riddled meat and ground bait, and fish meat over it. It's only on like a top 4. There was a little bit of reed there, just thought it was the only bit of cover I'd got, so I fished against that. Started with micros and expanders, and it's been alright, but it's been towing a lot, and they were coming there, I was getting bites. So I've opened a tin of corn, just fished corn over it instead. And that was good. I had a good little start on everyone, in all honesty. Not massive, probably only £20, but that was good. It wasn't clear, it wasn't going to be quite the big weight that we thought. Quite windy. Martin next door started to catch another one shallow. Tom was catching. Next door in the corner was on 18, he was catching down the edge straight away. So I've gone shallow slapping pellets, and there weren't many bites, but when I got them they were all like 2 and 3 pounders, good stamp. But it kept drifting off, and people went on the feeder and stuff like that. It just wasn't right, and I've just, in the end, literally the last 4 hours, I've just fished meat on a top 5, and it's just been steady. They were good stamp fish, so I had runs where I'd catch really quickly and then you'd have quiet spells, but you always felt like you're going to get a bite, and I've just fished it the rest of the match. I ended up fishing the expander rig, like a big 418 Wisestone, because it was blowing about a bit. And come the way in, I've had £139. Tom's been second with 131, and then next to him's had 120. Corner's had £90 here. Martin's had 100, and then the other corner over there's had 80. So didn't fish as well as we were expecting. I've been second on the lake, beaten by peg 31 Barry Mason. The other end, probably the most consistent peg on there. He's had £160. He's cut down the edge because again it's in a corner, big edge, and on the feeder. So well done to him. But yeah, a great start. Nice pick up for Lake second, and it had got that win. It was very important win. I knew I hadn't drawn very well, so I was really happy with that. On to day 2, I was on 2 islands. I've drawn peg 34, which is end peg, with the wind going the other way. It was boiling hot. This was like 30 degrees. It was, or 25, 26. The following day was 30 degrees. It was ridiculously hot. Wind going the other way, flat calm. And everyone said, "Oh, it's a great peg, it's a great peg," and it is with the wind, like with the wind in it. But just really didn't fancy it. Again, man like hell, if I'm honest. I had Rob Goodson next to me on 32. He moaned like hell as well. We just thought we were in for a beating, in all honesty. I started the match. The one thing it had going for it was there were a few dobbers about. Now you have to, they've made some new rules up for the festival, or come in for everything, but leading up to the festival. You have to fish 12 inches deep. You're not allowed to stand up, which for me being very short doesn't make it ideal, I'll be honest. You've got to fish a 6 or 8 mil pellet on the hook, but I don't mind that. Just set 6 quite fast. I don't mind that. I normally mug with a pellet anyway, so just to start off with an 8 mil pellet on it, just to make a bit of noise in front of them. The whistle's gone, and I've gone out and I've literally had one within about 5 seconds, about £15, so perfect start. And then they've all disappeared because it was flat calm, like that commotion, they've just disappeared. So I've gone short on pellets, had a little stocky about £1, and then a couple more come back in the peg, so I picked the dobbin rig up, swung at one again, had another £15, and then they've all disappeared again. This time they didn't come back. Had another look short, cold, one more stocky, and then nothing. And Rob next door, he's gone straight out from the start of the match. He's dobbed a couple as well, but they've not lasted. He has had a little bit of ripple. He's fished 16 metres, just slapping a pellet. He's caught 3 or 4 like that, and then he started blasting in 6 mils and slapping. And he's just caught all day on it. He's fished a really nice match because not many people would have done that. Just fished 16 metres from start to finish, and he's caught all day. And I always felt like I was trying to catch him up. Caught some slapping, and I tried feeding because Rob was catching on it. Caught 1 on it, but it wasn't right. There weren't anywhere near as many right in this corner. There's odd ones cruising about further out. Tried just a little waggler mugging them, didn't work. So I've changed to proper fishing a pellet waggler, and that was useless. I thought it'd be really good. Never had a fish on it, and Rob was still catching. I plumbed the rig up for fishing 16 metres down the banking, just pinging pellets. I've gone on that. It was only about 3-4. It was a lovely depth, and I've caught straight away. But they were all little stockies from £1 to £3, and I've had a tench as well. But I had like 10 in 10 puts as quick as I got in, and I thought, oh, this is all right. I'll start to catch away. Then it slowed right up, and you were waiting a while for a bite, and then it was a £2, and Rob was still getting an odd big and shallow. Just steady all day he's been. Gone back, I knew I had to put everything else down. I tried to feed her up the bank for a bit, that was no good. And I knew I'd got to catch shallow, and I've done it. Caught a couple again. They were big fish, really big fish, some of them. I've had one £18, but Rob had one £20, he was catching big fish at times as well. I just thought, like halfway through, I've got to go, or 2 hours to go, I've got to go for broke. I was I was second in section, I was doing alright. I was fishing very hard our end because we were missing a lot of the ripple. And I thought, right, I always take, me and Russ, we always take a couple of gallons of casters, and it's just for feeding down the edge and stuff. You never catch shallow of them, and I thought it's perfect for it today. If it's ever going to go, I'm going to take a gamble. And I've started absolutely blasting in casters. Still fishing a 6mm red pellet on you because you put a caster on and you get rutted out, and I've done it for a bit, and then all of a sudden they've rocked up, and like there were fish moving around on my pole, and I hadn't had it all day. And I've had an hour where it was absolutely solid, and I've been catching, they were big as well. I really started to catch Rob up, just behind him, but I thought if I keep going like this it'd be good. In the last hour, they've had enough with it being flat calm, and I've really struggled the last hour. I had a 10 short on me, it's the only bite I had on that. Normally you catch a few last hour, nothing in the edge, just get going through the motions. I had a couple more, but come the way, and I've had £217 again. Rob's absolutely smashed the lake with 260. Let's say he's fished a lovely match. I can't, and it wasn't a good peg either. We've actually I've been beat by 10 ounces for lake second again, but second in section. There were 3 people now on a perfect score, but they know I've got a big weight now, just behind them in fourth, and they pay the top 6. So it was a lot better. I just don't think I could have caught Rob. He just got that little bit of ripple. 90% of the anglers there wouldn't have caught what Rob caught, even though he's only done one thing all day. He's just done it really well. Hats off to him. He is a brilliant angler, and he was so positive with what he was going to do. Read that peg perfectly that day, so well done to him. Bit frustrating, let's say. Many of the anglers there wouldn't have done that, but that's how these festivals go. So yeah, I was on 3 points, so still good, still going well. There are a lot of people just behind on 4 points as well. A couple of us were 3. And left me going in to Wagtail the last day, which I class as my favourite lake in all honesty though. You can always make, I like it, I just like it. A lot of stockies, smaller carp now, and tide you over. So we've gone into the last day, and I've drawn peg 2, which again I couldn't have drawn worse. That bottom, how they do it, it's pegs 1, 2 and 4, because they have 2, miss 1, 1, 2 and 4, and then it's not pegged round like from 1 to 24, it's 1 to 11, and then 12 is opposite 1 and runs down that side, so you then add 12, 13 and 15 in your section. There was a very slight breeze coming up our end, and it was blisteringly hot, like one of the most hottest days I've fished in. So sweaty in all honesty. Yeah, I had Andrew Deering. My rotation the last day, that our lake was full of superstars. Did avoid, no disrespect to the people that were in our section, did avoid being in the worst section. The middle section was just ridiculous who was in it. Did have Andrew Deering over on 12 and along the bank, where he got the bank to fish along. Lots of cover, it was a bit of shade, and I thought that'd be really good. He was one of the anglers on 3 points. So I thought he would win the section in honesty, just because he got that bonus of it. Start the match, started on hard pellets again. Didn't really think I'd catch much there. Had a pound stocky straight away, and then I've had one £7 next put, and then that was it. It was so hot and very still most of the time. But a nice, just broke me into the match. From there, I've gone 14 metres slapping pellet. Caught a couple doing that. I've seen a couple swim by, and I've slapped in front of them, caught them as well. And then I've no more, so I've started just pinging 6mm on it. Caught 2 or 3 a bit smaller fish, but like, this is over the space of 2 hours. It made it sound like it was good, and it wasn't. caught one on the deck underneath on hard pellets. But then it's been flat calm and no good. Gone on the waggler, done that for a while. I've had one like £12 and no more. It just didn't feel right, and I've come back on the pole, and I've had a couple more, but you were waiting ages for bites. It didn't seem good. Gone on the waggler, had one more, and we're now like halfway through. And Andrew on 12 was catching really well, smaller fish, 2 and 3 pounders. Odd bigger one on the feeder along the bank, the long pole along the bank in the shade. And I was falling well behind. So from what I learnt the day before, it had been so hot, I just thought, again, I've got nothing to lose here now. No one else in the section was catching. It was only Andrew I had to beat. So I've got my casters out now. When I say I've hammered it in, I've been just constantly pouching casters, just trying to create some column in the water. I've come up to 13 metres just to make it accurate, because even though it's flat calm most of the time, there's a horrible skim and they were going a bit everywhere. Just again slapping a red pellet in it. And I had one carp about £8 after 20 minutes of doing it, which made me keep doing it, and I've really not caught for another hour. But again, like on 2 honours, there was another one milling around now, so I thought I'd just stay confident, and this is where my fishing is different to a few weeks ago. The confidence is there now, and I just knew they would felt they'd have a go. With an hour and a half to go, I've had one, and the last hour and a half I've had 7, I think, and they were big, like starting at £8, but I had a couple like £6, a lot of 8 and 9, and one £13. And my mum was come down for the afternoon to watch me because the weather was nice, and I said with 20 minutes to go, I need one more fish, and I got one, another £8, and come the way in, Andrew's weighed £126 and I've weighed 132. So I ended up 4 points. The middle of the lake was much better. You knew straight away, that middle section. John Wincup's won the lake there with 225. Jimmy Brooks has had 216 in the middle. Tom Edwards had 170. There were loads of fish, a lot more fish to be caught in the middle of the lake. They just didn't want to be, they were sat in that main body of water. But yeah, either side of me have had £50. Neil next door, I take back what I said. I had Neil Clark, one of the Barnsley lads that come down to fish on Peg 1, and he's a fantastic angler. He cost me the festival the other year, beat me for the section, and he won the 2-day festival there. He's a brilliant angler. And he'd only caught £50, and he's actually caught doing what I did. He got some casters out and caught on them late on. So I ended on 4 points, overtook Andrew because I got a bigger weight, so I ended third in the festival, picked up £1,200. Great 3 days, really enjoy it, can't wait for next year already. Sunday I did a bit of coaching, I was out coaching, and then one more match to report on, was back at Floatfish again, this Saturday just been. It was on 2 islands. Drew peg 26. Peg I've always wanted to do a great peg. It's plumbed up and it's a lot shallower than the other lakes short. The other peg's short, and you've got a big edge before it goes round to 24. It's great edge peg as well. Really fancy it. I'd said before we'd all drawn, it'd come a bit cooler, wind on it, and I said there'd be some massive weights. Record could go today, venue record. We started setting up, and there were so many fish on some pegs, like in the edges and that. But they were worried about the oxygen levels. A few of them were gobbing a bit. A lot were fine, but they came round. A few minutes discussion. They decided, go pack your gear away, go up to the clubhouse again. We're going to put you on Phoenix, do a redraw. I think they would have been fine anyway. They were definitely fine later on because it had a good wind on it. It was really windy in the end. Lots of oxygen back in the water, but fair play to the owners for doing it. It's their livelihood. and the fish welfare comes first. So fair play to them. So I hadn't got any of the right bait for Phoenix. I took all 6 and 8 mil pellets. 6 mil pellets were fine. 8 mil meat. Got a load of casters because I was supposed to originally be at the Glebe, and I worked the night before in the end, so I sold my ticket for the Glebe because I didn't know what time I'd be home. Actually, it was an early night, so I was fine, but sold my ticket. Just decided to stay local. And they've drawn me out, peg 18, next to where I was in the festival, in the corner. Again, the wind coming up, how I really fancied it. Set up the 3 shallow rigs, didn't plan to do them, I just wanted to fish meat short and in the edge. This time I felt what I should have done in the festival. There were times when I was foul looking a few on the meat. Set up 2 identical 414 floats, didn't have expanders or anything, so it's literally just meat and hemp. Set up one for top 5 to start on, and if it got good, I had another one set up. It was a foot and a half shallower on a top 4 and a bit closer to you to keep him down, that I could pick up if it was good. And then I've just set up an edge rig. I was just going to feed micros and casters, big pot them down there, and then fish meat and a few bits of meat, fish meat over it. And I've started the match on a top 5 with 8 mil meat. Thought it might be too big, but it was brilliant. All good stamp 2 and 3 pounders, and I've caught really well for an hour. Then they started to come up a bit. Started kindering, didn't throw to start with, just kindering, just setting a trap for 1, and that was good. But as it got better, I started throwing. Where you're kindering, you're dropping your bait on top of your float, and it was bringing them up. Started to get an unfurl. I changed to throwing like when I hooked the fish, so it was there ready on the bottom when I went out. That was much better for a while, and then it got even better. So I've changed to the top 4, and it was nowhere near as good. No, half the amount of bites, but they were all proper bites. Slowed it down, just got back in control of the peg, and that was great for 2 hours. Then I've fed the edge, big pot, half a pot of micros, half a pot of casters, and within a quarter of an hour they were there. But I've sat on it with meat, and I've caught 2 or 3. They were really good stamp, like 4 or 5 pound, but hundreds of fish, well not hundreds, but lots of fish coming in and milling around, but no bites. So I've gone back on the meat. I kept feeding the edge, and eventually halfway through the meat has slowed right up. Because I've just been fishing that sort of one line all day, and I've gone in the edge again, and it still moved, loads of fish around it, and I've changed to fishing 3 casters on the hook, and straight away that was much better, and started catching. And as the day went on, and you actually had all, like the last 2 hours where you've got edge fish coming in and such. I know it sounds weird because they were there already, but it's when they're actually there feeding instead of just milling around. Changing to 2 worms, and I was really flying again. And I've just done that till the end. You catch half a dozen, and then you'd catch an eyed or a perch. As soon as you did that, you had to refeed. I put quite a lot of bait in, 4 pints of micros, 6 pints of casters, through a big pot. So it shows how regularly you're feeding with a big pot. Tried kindering, large kinders and that, but you needed a lot of bait there. A lot of silvers and little eyed and stuff in there. The eyed are a pound in all fairness, and the barbel now. Caught quite a few of them, lots of carp. Last half hour it's dried right up where I'd hammered it for 2 hours, and I've been feeding the meat, and I've caught half a dozen more than the last half hour. And come the way in, I've had 290, just short of 298 pound, new venue record. Couldn't believe it after I'd called it in the morning. It's so nice to have done. I've done a few venue records over the years, but really nice to have that one on my CV. It is my local venue. Just nice to have that one on. And then Sunday I was coaching again. There isn't a lot of Sunday matches around our way at the moment. Decoy was where you used to drop in on a Sunday, and there isn't anything going on there at the moment. So I have been doing a bit of coaching on Sunday, so if you are interested, please get in touch. It's just filling the gaps. I've got 3 months now, barring commercial champs. I've got commercial champs Sunday, Meadowlands. And I'm just going float fish again Saturday. One of my mates who hasn't fished for a while, wants to fish a match. It was that or rookery, but we decided on float fish, so I should just be doing float fish again. And then Meadowlands thingy. I've got one more round of that in 3 or 4 weeks' time at Barston, but other than that, I haven't got anything on a Sunday. So if you are interested in some coaching, I have got some days available at the moment. Just get in touch. But yeah, really good few weeks. Been picking up framing every match, so really, really good. We're up and running now. What else have we got coming up? Let's say I've got the last 2 rounds of that. We've got there's 2 festivals at Rookery in August. I'm on both of those, the 3-dayer and the 2-dayer. Not really been over there, but I have fished it a lot over the last few years, so I'm not unhappy. Don't feel like I'm achieving a huge amount going. I already know how I want to go and fish. And then I've got my little 2-day festival I'm running in September at Floatfish, and then we're on to winter leagues and all that stuff, which time of year I love. Do more fishing in the winter than I do the summer, as my wife always reminds me. Because I said when I met her when I was getting back into fishing, I won't be doing much in the winter. Yeah, she never sees me, so puts up with it all though, God bless us. So yeah, so that's where we're up to. We'll get the video, as you can see. I will just say, this last week after that festival in that heat and all the fishing in the heat, I've been exhausted. I really can't keep my eyes open. Had my second jab last week as well, which then added to that. So, but I'm glad that's all done. I hope all of you are staying safe with it all, because it is all over the place. Yep, let me know if there's anything else you want doing. I will get the video done of all in my box, because it would be interesting for different things for you. So I think I'll try and get that done in the week. Let me get my kit done, and I will get back to doing reports on a Monday or a Tuesday. It won't be Monday next week, because I know I'm working nights Monday to Wednesday in Peterborough, so I won't be leaving till a bit later. So I'm definitely going fishing Monday, Floatfish Open Monday. And from there we'll see what happens next. So thank you for watching. I'm sorry it's been a bit drawn out, this one. I would have liked to have got them done after each weekend, but I've just not had the time with everything that's been going on. And I will catch you by the end of the week with some tips videos. Thank you very much for watching.